Wonderful. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar about taking your business online. Intermediate. Madeline Ross from Small Business Mentoring Service is going to take us through that presentation, which we hope you will find very helpful and very interesting to your business. I'll hand over to you, Madeline. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer, for having me back. And I'll start by taking over the screen as we've got a lot to get through. In last week's session, we looked at different website builders called content management systems, themes, learning how people interact online, and some digital productivity tools. So let me just share my screen now. There we are. Can you all see that? So today we're going to have a look at and take it one step further to what we were discussing last week. In this session, we're going to look at the functionality of the website, the site structure, calls to action, on-site SEO to optimise your site for the search engines, a little bit about keyword research, meta tags, and setting up your pages, posts and categories. We'll also take a look at a real-life case study showing how some small changes can make quite an impact. So the first thing we have to look at is what the anatomy of a page is. There's millions of results on Google about what's a good web page and what isn't. It's always been the same though, although in recent times Google has re-emphasised that web pages should provide what the client wants. And it wants structure, content, organisation, preferably some links and the ability to get around the website. You don't need reams of content, and people make it more complicated than what it actually is. And some people make a living out of making it really complicated. So, is it well structured? Does it have good content? Are there internal and external links? And can the user easily get around your site? Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been turned into an SEO hierarchy, which looks quite complex, but it doesn't need to be. There's many things here that you can and can't do yourself. If you can't do it yourself, then at least you'll know what it is that needs to be accomplished by the agency or person that's going to be doing the tasks. It's always good to know what you're asking someone else to do. We're going to concentrate on the top three elements and also the bottom, because if Google can't crawl your website, then you won't even get listed on the web. The two items at the top makes you competitive. You've got control over those things, and they can make a difference as to whether you get a click through to the website or not and have your chance to gain a client. Now, last week I mentioned this, and I'll just bring it up again. So you need to remember that 93% of Australians search Google for information before they buy. Buyers look at 9 to 13 websites before making a decision about what or where to buy. And the top two channels of customer research online are review sites and company websites. There's loads and loads of articles on best practices, but I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can. These are my main takeaways to optimise your pages, to be competitive. If you work on these alone, you'll improve the experience of your potential customer on the website, you'll improve your page loading speed, and you'll improve your page ranking on Google. So first of all, we've got to make sure that your URLs aren't too long. Ideally, they should be 3 to 5 words because they won't fit on a mobile phone screen and the client won't read them. The page title should be 55 to 65 characters because when it's too long, people won't be able to see it. The free tool to measure your page titles and descriptions is EZ-Local, and it's a really helpful little tool that I use and have, you know, people use to create those page titles and descriptions. H1 tags. Every page on a website needs a H1 tag, which we'll go into a bit later. And use subheadings to break up the structure of the page and highlight what the page is about and what's important on that page. People can scan through pages, so subheadings are important to capture the reader's attention, as are pictures on a page. The meta description is where we sell the sizzle, not the sausage. It's your chance to hook potential clients to your page. Keep to 165 characters. Google says they don't give it much weight, but, you know, so you might think, well, why should you bother? But it's hyper important to the consumer and for you to get your message, your CTA across, your call to action across. It is hurdle one. Using visuals and videos keep people amused, engaged or interested in what you have on a page. All research shows that if there's images, graphs, videos, charts or GIFs, it increases people's engagement. Make sure your images are optimised in two ways. First, resize the images, then run it through something like TinyJPEG, which is a compression app online. And that will reduce the size of the image, the weight of it. Secondly, Google can't read images, and it helps people with disability have access to the internet, as there's disability tools to read them in the back of the website. But most importantly, Alexa, Google Assistant, Siri and others use it. With semantic search, Google will read out the title and also read the content on a page. So if someone says, Google, find me a gift for my husband or wife or partner, it will look at all the pages and title tags to do with gifts for men, husband, wife, partner. When it finds a page, it will read down through those images. So if your image is called Father's Day book gift idea or gift socks for men or gift your husband this woolly fleece jacket, then it will read that. It's a really good reason to optimise all your images, including product images, with an alt tag. And that's also called alternative text tag. External links shows Google that you're connected to authority sites and gives you a big tick. So what's an authority site? An authority website is one that's trusted by its users, by industry experts and other websites in similar niches. A good example is Wikipedia, or having your listing on the council website, or linking to an article on an authority site, or even a video that's ranking highly on YouTube. Next is writing good content in the body of your page and being relevant to the topic. Try using tools to cut your time in half with tools like ClearScope or Phrase, and there's a link to a list of cheaper alternatives. Look at how quickly your page loads. Shopify states that most customers don't wait even 3 seconds for an e-commerce site to load. So you really want it to load quickly, particularly on mobile devices. If you're not sure, check Google's page speed app online. Remember to connect with social media and word count. You need to have a think about, have you written enough words to cover the topic? This is the one that takes the most effort, finding something to write about each product, particularly if you've got a lot of products. But it's going to make a huge difference. Google likes about 300 words. It's the hardest thing to do when you have a lot of products, but it's worth the effort. Having a good photo is really important, as is a good price and an easy checkout. But if you want to rank, have a bit of text. There's going to be heaps of competitors with the same or similar product. So if you're all using Shopify, for example, you've all optimized your images, you've all got a good page title and URL. The one that's going to come up higher in Google is the one that loads fastest, has the most recommendations, and has more text. It's all coming down to the 1%ers. If there's 10 sites and the first one is Kmart, then Target, etc., then you're competing for the other 6 spots on the page because they're adverts. And it's all the 1%ers that are going to make the difference. For articles, we recommend a minimum of 500 words, but Google is liking and featuring 1,500 plus words. And is your site working properly on all mobile devices? There's a link to test whether your site is mobile friendly. That was a summary of what needs to be done on the page or around the page to make your SEO good. But before all of that, if you're starting a website, you have the chance to plan it. And if you're reviewing your website, you get the chance to do things right. So what we're actually trying to do is create a funnel. Here's our brand. Here's the categories we've got. These are the products. Please buy something and get to the checkout. It's really simple. We want people to come to the store, find a product and buy something. It's called creating a funnel. So websites can get complicated, but let's strip it down to 3 things. The homepage, the most general information on your site. Categories or content groups, introducing the different categories and collections. They call it collections in some programs and categories in others, but they're the same thing. And individual pages and posts, including the most specific and in-depth information on your site or products. Anything else is nice to have, but ask yourself, is it really necessary? Will it improve the usability of the site? Will it make people want to buy? It's important that they find you, a phone number, email, location, your social media links. These could be in the footer, the header, and also on the contact page. You've just got to make it easy for them to find you. Depending on how big your website is, you can also create subcategories. It helps to create a rough outline to think through how to organise it all, and the link on the page will help plan your site. So let's have a look at the basics. You've got control over all the information that appears on a search listing. This is where you get the chance to engage the client. So up the top, that's the URL. URL, keep it 3 to 5 words. In the title, which is this one here, try to keep it to 55 to 65 characters. And in the meta description, which is this area here, it should have no more than 165 characters, or they'll be truncated, which is those 3 little dots that you see, and it runs off the page. In some cases, 180 characters works. Google says if it's over 185 characters, they reserve the right to pick other content from the page. The most important thing that Google looks at is the title tag. The second is the URL, which tells people and Google what's on the page. And then the description is the natural language you'd use to describe your page. And that's where you have your key phrases or key words you want to get across to encourage people to click on your page. This is an opportunity for your call to action. It could be locally made, natural product, all organic, whether it's based on price or scarcity, what you are selling and what do you want people to do. That's your chance to say more than, let's say Ugg boots online. This is your sales pitch. What kind of Ugg boots are they? Who do they suit? What's different about them? Where are you? Who we are, where we are, what we're selling, what we're doing. If you don't control this, Google and Amazon and all the others that make their own decision on what to put in there, and that depends on what the engineering of your site is like. If you haven't entered your own description, you don't want to say in there, no refunds, because if it picks this up in the first piece of your structure, it will say something like a simple guide to blah, blah, no refunds, privacy, blah, blah. So make sure it doesn't pick this up. You can control it, keep it short, snappy, to the point, around the key phrases that you're really trying to push. Don't use a year in your title because then you can reuse your pages down the track. And I'll give you an example. Mother's Day sale 2022. We don't want to say Christmas 22, Father's Day 2022, etc. And that's in the URL because we want to use it again next year. If you want to use a date, put it into the page content or in the meta description because you can change it down the track. Now, I don't want to get into too technical terms, but, one of the things that we do get asked is where do all these parts go? So they basically go into your Shopify or Wix or WooCommerce or WordPress site. They go between the head tags, and if you're not in the know, then you probably don't even need to know it with the content management systems. If you already have a website up and want to change the URL of an existing page, you're going to create problems. You'll have broken links. The only way to fix that is to have a redirect from the existing page to the new page. So I don't recommend you do that if you can help it. Just start fresh with writing good URLs. And, a good example of that is look at Kmart's website for good examples. There's a controversy as to whether you should include your brand name or not in the title. Big brands don't, but that's because they're big brands. And you're already on their site. And I probably wouldn't do it if you've got a really long business name, because that will eat up part of the space that you've got. Use it on the home page, About Us page, but on the product page, it's better to go for content over brand name. You don't need to use it all the time. So use it sparingly. With the page title and content tags, we've got our title now, we've got our meta description. Now we need a page title, the H1 on the page itself. This tag is used for the main thing the page is about. It should be a key phrase or contain keywords, and you should only use it once on a page. This is a really good example on Amazon, but it doesn't matter whether it's Amazon or a website listing. We're looking at the overall principle here. If you do a search for Xbox One USB headset, there's over 4,000 results. You're up against thousands of other businesses vying for the same spot. If you're trying to do something online and you have all this competition and you're not getting results or something doesn't fit, when you think about it and go back to the basics, you might realise that you've got a huge amount of competition and it's a highly competitive keyword. So what can we do to get around this? In this case, for an Xbox One, have a look at the meta description. The first two items are sponsored by Amazon, so they're ads, paid ads. But the third listing, its product description is really well done. They've done their homework and they've made it work for them using specifics. Each of the listings are targeting something slightly different. So there's a lesson here. It doesn't just apply to Amazon. You need to think about specifics for your product listings and web pages. They have an excellent description and good reviews. 98% of opportunities are missed. So if we have a look at that Xbox One, think about what one might use the Xbox One for, what type of specific thing they might want. All of the headsets sell with all these things, but people out there want to be 100% sure that the USB headset they're going to buy is going to work with their iPad or their PC. They'll have a specific usage in mind and specific features, such as noise cancelling, soft earmuffs, so your ears don't hurt after long periods of use. And it's not so easy to find because too many people target that keyword. The ones that mention it are the ones that get the sale. If they don't mention it, they miss out on getting on the search engines. And of course, there are colours and other factors. It doesn't matter which industry you're in, the same process applies. Another example is Kogan. They don't just have one listing for Xbox One and list everything on it. They create different listings. One product listing for a USB headset for iPad, one for a Mac, one for an Xbox One, and so on. So there's all these multiple pages. They use the same or a similar image with a very product description. So they duplicate the product many times, but they change the content and description. So please don't miss these opportunities. It's in your product descriptions. I'm just going to touch on this because there seems to be a bit of a blur between search engine optimization and social media marketing. But there is a major difference between them. There's a link to an infographic by Orbit Media which describes each clearly, and I've left that's in the on the page that you'll be able to click through. So what's search engine optimization? It's about being discovered and getting traffic through search engine rankings. It fills the top of the funnel and creates awareness. What's social media marketing? It's about connecting, building relationships, getting traffic from social media networks. It strengthens the middle of that funnel and creates the engagement. Long story made short, let's look at the differences. Audience and intent. So that's the mindset of your potential visitors. So social media, you know a lot about who these people are, but very little about what they're thinking. They're clicking around, they're browsing, and with search optimization, you know a lot about what they're thinking, but very little about who they are. They just searched. Topics. Social media, content that stirs an emotional response often does best, especially emotions such as anxiety, anger, something that's funny, or in awe. Trending topics often do well. With the search optimization, it's research-based content often performs best, such as a detailed how-to instructional posts and articles that answer common questions. Evergreen products that don't quickly go out of style often do well in the search engine marketing. Formats. which types of content will perform. So visuals perform best. You know, we've all seen these perform really well on social media. They help capture the attention in fast-moving social streams. Images and video are the most shared content on the web. Posts with images generate the most likes and shares. Punchy, emotional headlines work really well. Long-form text performs best in search. The average page that ranks high in Google has over 1,500 words. Many of them these days will go to 2,500 words. There's a good reason Google loves Wikipedia because of the detailed articles. There is a link to the ideal length guidelines for more information. Longer descriptive headlines work well as also. And as far as the engineering, SEO looks at the structure. So that's what we discussed above, your page titles, links, H1, H2 headers, use of bold and italics, alt tags, meta tags. Speed is very important to a lot of people. With social media, although growing a following takes some time, social media posts appear instantly and results can happen within minutes. But with SEO, it's typically slow and uncertain. You know, if you hear these people that tell you that they're going to have your website up on the ranking on the first page of Google within a week or within a day, then, you know, quickly move away from them. Even highly relevant pages take days to get indexed and rank, and sometimes they can take even months. It often takes years to build up enough credibility to compete for the most valuable phrases. So, you know, when you're talking about ranking for keywords, you'd be ranking for what they call the long tail keywords, because you've got so much competition if you're trying to rank for something like Ugg boots, for example. Both SEO and social media are all about connecting with people. They both benefit from research. You can read the original article, which I've taken these bits from Orbit Media for you to have a look at. Social media platforms have made up a lot of ground with ads and functionality like marketplace and interconnectivity to Shopify and other shopping carts. So having your social content connected to your website is also quite important. Now, I have permission to show you this case study, and I think it pretty much will highlight what you can be doing for yourself on your website. So in this case study, our goal was simple. We needed a fast, responsive, SEO-optimised website that can be updated by the business owner. So we had our goals, which was to increase brand awareness, improve ranking on search engines, create a visually appealing, user-friendly, mobile-first website, drive traffic to the website to buy, connect with customers, show business. I needed to show the business owner how to manage the website moving forward, give tools and resources to be able to do all this. We need to know what the story is that you want to tell. And there wasn't a story. Think about what your story is. And his story is a friendly, family-owned business providing a range of customised horse jumping equipment and accessories, novice to 4-star show jumpers. So the first thing we did was have a site audit. We did an analysis of the site architecture, the traffic, the backlinks, the content, indexing keywords, and the ranking. So we had a look at on-page, like on-page on the website, off-page, and what sort of tools he might require. And there were 5 immediate problems. Now, these are all problems that many websites and business owners currently have. And if you can just look at even just these 5 things on your website, then you will improve it enormously. Images are the most less optimized that I find on websites. It really slows down the speed of a website. Not using the alt tags, meta page descriptions, titles for your products and descriptions. Many aren't doing that. So, you can get on top of it by doing these things, and also making sure that you've got a clear call to action. So a path, you're looking at that funnel, and you need to have content. You also need to have a privacy statement. Many forget to do that. A privacy statement, terms and conditions, and delivery options if it's an e-commerce store, refund statement, etc. This is the site. It's called Smart Jumps, and it is a Wix website, and I know that many people are using Wix these days. Now, with the audit, we found that the page took over 30 seconds to load. Now, the goal is to have a page load within 3 to 4 seconds. Whether that's the home page or a product page, it should load between 3 to 4 seconds. Now, these are great links, great tools for you to use. There's many tools available, including Google's free keyword planner. But I really love these two. There is a free version as well as premium version, but I find that the free version is sufficient for most users. There's also others like SEMrush and others. But Ubersuggest will give you competitive intelligence. So you can see who's ranking high in the search engines. You're then able to visit those sites and see how and what they're doing that you could be doing better. It shows you trends, monthly search volume, the CPC, the AdWords cost per click, and whether it will be difficult to rank for that keyword. There's the other site that I like to use. It's called Answer the Public. It assists in finding what questions are currently being asked about a keyword phrase. I find that very valuable as well. So this is just a one shot. So we know that he sells saddle stands. So we did a search on saddle stands. We had a look at how many searches per month, and you could click on this little arrow over here, and it'll then give you more information. So, and it gives you the cost per click and whether the SEO difficulty. Now, the ones that are in green are usually the easier ones to rank for. So that is a long tail keyword. Saddle stands, that's very specific, but wooden is specific as well, and that's not too bad to rank for. So we had a look at that. We had a chat. He has to go away and do it, his research, which he did, and came back with reams and reams of paper, but it was fantastic. He did a great job. And this is Answer the Public. So it will show what questions people are asking, and it gathers its results from Google and Bing. it gives a hint of motivations and emotions of people behind the search query. It's you can get it in this format, but you can also get it in a list format. So we've looked then at the title tag and meta descriptions. We also, if you haven't got a favicon, then you should create a favicon for your website. Change the address to local rather than Australia, depending on what your product and service is. With this particular business, he's located in Geelong, so for local search, we really wanted to have it focused around the Geelong and Peninsula areas. We wanted to look at the basic information that was missing, the favicon, the site title and meta description, categorise products like wings and rails, etc. Now this is image and video optimization. When we looked at what was taking up the time to load the site was the size of the images. This size here is megabytes. So you've got 3, that's nearly 3 megabytes. Another, 2.7 megabytes. These are huge. You don't need files that huge. What you do need to do is you need to resize those images to suit what's needed on the website. You rename the images so that they are more descriptive. You don't have image 3993. 1 jump rail, 2 colours. I would probably be saying 1 jump rail and specify the colours. So we need to optimise those images, and we needed to optimise the header video that he had on there. We needed to replace the images. We needed to add the alt tags, add titles, edit the tags so that they are more descriptive, and so that at the back you've got those descriptions of what the images are about for the screen readers. So we used a variety of tools, and Paul, the business owner, resized, renamed, replaced the images, added titles, descriptions and alt tags. We tried different sizes for the best results. So with the Wix site, the images were resized to 800 by 600 or 800 pixels square. Downloads, I got him to download a free open source like Photoshop, which is called GIMP. Got him to resize online with Pick Resize because he doesn't have any of these programs, and he downloaded Faststone so that he could do batches of all of the different photos that he had. We ran them through Tiny JPEG, which compresses those images without any loss of quality, before uploading to the website. And I had him reduce his video size on videosmaller.com. There are other sites available, and he did use VideoSmaller to compress his video. So the next thing, we looked at the image background. As you can see from this image here, it was very difficult to read. There were just so many different colours. The layout needed to be changed a little bit. The background image was very distracting, and we needed to add a contact form. Now, we needed to see what it was like on mobile. Now, there is that other link where you can check whether it's mobile friendly or not. But the other one that you can use, if you're on a PC, you can click on F12, and it will bring the this section here up where you'll be able to look at that website by clicking on this button and looking at in various formats. So that's using the F12. We really needed to fix the products and the product listings, and you know, on the website it showed $1 to select the colours. So we really needed to get rid of that and add some colour options. And once I showed him how to do that, he was able to get on with it and do the rest of the site. Product information was missing, and so he really needed to fill all the product information in. SEO Quake is a great analytics and metrics tool. It is free to use. So in combination with Google Analytics, with Google Search Console, which is Webmaster Tools, and doing a page audit with SEO Quake, you know, we ran tests on a regular basis. And the biggest point was, and remember I said you're looking for content, the text-to ratio was very low. So that means that you need to add more text to your website, and that would be per page. So you'd be running a test on each of the pages that you have, and the product descriptions. The other thing that we're missing were the legals, and these are very important for any e-commerce store. So the terms and conditions, the privacy, the return policy, the contact us form. So you really do need to have all of that information, and you find that in your store settings on a Wix site. But you'll also find that on any other CMS in the settings as well. Google My Business and geotagging the images created, you know, he didn't have a listing. Now, I encourage every business owner to have a Google My Business listing, and I encourage every business to continuously update it, add photos, add descriptions, add posts, add specials, connect with your social media on Google My Business. Google My Business is very powerful, and I don't think that you know, many business owners are using it to its best advantage. So what happened with a few tweaks that basically cost him a little bit of time and effort? He ranked fourth, and that was probably within 30 days. I mean, it took him a while to get through everything, but you know, the analytics showed that it just improved so much just by making those changes. So the page speed, we were very pleased. So it loaded up. There's two sites that I used to do the page speed, which was, this one's a very good one, which is tools.pingdom, and Wix has its own site as well. So it showed up very quickly, and we were very, very pleased with that. So, and that just goes to show that just with those few things that you do, it can make a dramatic you know, increase in speed and optimization of your website. So traffic steadily increased over time, and that's over pretty much a month or two. So it was a really, really good result. So what do we do in the future? We review the website strategy. We monitor the analytics to find out whether there are search queries coming through that we can use then as keyword phrases on our content pages, Or maybe what the analytics will show us is that people are searching for a specific topic. So maybe we can create a blog, an article about it. And also we can do some content marketing and digital marketing that is going to suit the business. So what I've done is I've also included, and you'll get this in the PDF, the tools and resources that have been used. I do like SEO Tools Engine, SEO Quake, SEMrush is very good. And, you know, all of these things, I've tried to find tools and resources that are free to use and can, and also, you know, you can upgrade if to premium if you'd like. I did put this one in last week's session, but I thought I'd add it again. Screaming Frog Spider, which is a great tool to have a look at the hierarchy and to use it for competitor research. How are their pages set up? It's free to download for 500 URLs and site speed tests. So that's about it. I'm happy to take any questions now. Okay, in that case, I will just stop the share and welcome Jennifer back. So
thanks, Madeline.
Thanks.
Go on.
It's just, yeah, I hope it wasn't too technically difficult. I tried to keep it simple, but I think that the case study at the end probably is an easy one to follow, because you can see just by doing a few of those things that I talked about, it can make such a difference. And in a short period of time, like 30 days is not a long period of time. And I think what really needs to happen is that the business owner doesn't try to do everything at once. And it's about creating an action plan and then just blocking a couple of hours a week or a few hours a week aside to do those tasks. And that's how Paul sort of attacked it. He put a few hours aside each week, and over the period of weeks, he got it all done. But the biggest thing is doing research, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation, Madeline. There will be a copy of the recording available sometime this week, so I can send that out. Please reach out if you would like a copy of that. Also, please feel free to sign up to the City of Whittlesea Business e-newsletter, which is an online newsletter and gives you that forward, you know, planning ability with webinars and information mentoring services, which we've partnered with Small Business Mentoring Service to provide to businesses free of charge. So yeah, please sign up to the Business e-News. That way you know what we're doing ahead of time and can take advantage of that support. Thank you. Thank you once again, Madeline.
Thank you
and
very
take
much.
care, everybody.
Okay, have a good day.
You too.